I'm just going to go out there and say it. The new Osmiomancy gloves are the best Warlock exotics in Destiny 2 right now. Don't tell the group boots. There's two ways you can use this new exotic, neither are wrong, but in my opinion, if you're not using these to create unlimited stasis turrets consistently, then I think you're missing out. You can get your very own when exotic gauntlets are in rotation for the daily legend or master lost sectors, and I highly recommend these. You should definitely make time to go get them. First, I really want to show you the subclass, build and mods I've set up for this. It's highly optimised for PvE content, as we're going to lean into a number of Elemental Well mods that just complement the playstyle this new exotic offers. There's a very specific gameplay loop with this, and it's all about chaining both your rift and grenades so that you've always got one available. It's really easy to pull off, and it's generally a playstyle I lean into heavily, as it just makes a ton of warlock builds really seamless to use. A lot of this often goes overlooked, especially when it comes to using your rift to boost your ability cooldowns regardless of the build you're aiming for. The Osmiomancy gloves basically give you the ability to have 2 Coldsnap Grenades thanks to the fervid Coldsnap exotic trait. These recharge quicker on direct impact, and so essentially on a basic level you can just throw freezing Coldsnaps instantly. If that floats your boat, that's fine, but there's way more usability to them than just that, and we're setting this up for rapid grenade cooldowns regardless of if you use the exotic perk or not. Double grenades, whether it's Coldsnaps or Stasis Turrets, will absolutely help you in endgame content. With Grandmaster Nightfalls coming up, as well as the master version of the Vow of the Disciple, I can see these new exotics being a must within a well-oiled fire team. The first aspect is undoubtedly the Bleak Watcher. Some may argue against this choice due to the extended base cooldown time it gives to your grenades, but if you look at the base cooldown of Coldsnaps, there really isn't a huge difference in my opinion. Holding your grenade button will convert it into a stasis turret, and technically we can now have 2 of these instantly thanks to the new exotic. These are excellent for shutting down large areas in any encounter, as not only do they slow, but also they freeze multiple targets. They also last way longer than any Coldsnap grenade would, and before one's even over, you'll easily have a second if not a third turret up and ready to go. Ice Flare Bolts pairs perfectly here, as shattering a frozen target will spawn seekers which track and freeze other nearby targets. As you'll be constantly freezing targets from Bleak Watchers, you should be focusing on the frozen targets to shatter them with your weapons, so that you can then spawn the seekers. Doing this will heavily lean into our mods, which will trigger Elemental Wells and aid you in your grenade cooldown. The fragment setup, I've gone for help with 3 areas I absolutely enjoy with Stasis: rapid ability cooldowns, excellent damage resistance, and huge explosive damage. Whisper of Torment will grant you grenade energy on taking incoming damage. This is perfect for just boosting your grenade recharge by literally playing the game. You get a nice little chunk per hit, and this works regardless of you being in a rift or not. Whisper of Chains will give you damage resistance when nearby to frozen targets or stasis crystals, and it allows you to be more aggressive in your playstyle to shatter frozen targets and spawn the all important seekers. Defeating these frozen targets will grant you class ability energy with the Whisper of Refraction, which may seem like a little bit of a weird pick, but honestly the synergy between your class ability and grenades is so finely tuned, I think that this one is a must to be honest. Lastly, the Whisper of Fissures will increase the size and damage of the stasis burst when you shatter frozen targets or crystals. This is excellent for ad clear and again leans into our mods for rapid grenades. Okay, so now the mod setup, and the Stasis subclass aspect and fragment selections will now make a lot more sense, and give you the versatility to use either the base Coldsnap or turrets as you wish. First up, double bomber mods are an absolute must. This leans into the refraction fragment, and having a maximum uptime of your rift will allow you to not only stay alive, but also grant you a huge chunk of grenade energy for free. Along with a high recovery stat, you'll be able to drop rifts at least every 20 seconds or less, and you'll get a quarter of your grenade energy returned each time you drop one. Grenade Kickstart is also a must. It's honestly a little bit hit and miss depending on how much recharge you've already got, as it won't give a bump to your ability if you have like a little bit of the second grenade already charged, but it will work if you fully deplete your grenades or have both fully charged and then just use one. Explosive Wellmaker will create a solar elemental well on rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage. Stasis explosive damage counts for this, both from shattering frozen targets and stasis crystals. These solar wells are important because you can use the Well of Ordnance mod, which will grant you bonus grenade energy on collecting a solar elemental well. During any encounter, you'll create these often, and along with everything here will help to boost your grenade cooldown. Innovation is a slept on mod, but it will also grant grenade energy on collecting an Orb of Power. You need to use the new Siphon helmet mobs to create Orbs of Power with your weapons now, and the Harmonic Siphon will allow your Stasis weapons to do this on rapid multi-kills. Elemental armaments will create Stasis Wells on Stasis weapon final blows, and you can use the Font of Might to boost the damage of them. But it's really the Well of Restoration that will help you the most when collecting a Stasis Well. This mod will grant you additional energy to your lowest charged ability, and as this will either be your grenade or rift ability, it's a really helpful mod to help keep the loop going. You really also want to spec into your discipline and recovery stats to get them as high as possible, as this will hands down make this whole setup a lot more easier to manage with very limited downtime the higher you get these to 100. There's a ton of new top tier Stasis weapons to use with this setup. Anything with Headstone is really going to help benefit the neutral game, and all the new Stasis primary weapons can roll with it. Create is easily my top pick and can come from any legendary engram in the game. Alternatively, Syncopation can also be crafted at the Relic of Mars, and it only requires one pattern to be able to shape it. You can even get the enhanced headstone on it, which will boost its stability as well. It's a great pick this season, especially as you can use the Pulse Rifle Champion mod. Recurrent Impact is the new rapid fire machine gun from Season of the Risen, and it is the first Stasis machine gun too. This can also be shaped, but will require a few more patterns to unlock it. Fortunately, there's an excellent fixed roll that you can pick up from the initial story beats this season which can roll with Headstone. You might think it's a bit overkill, but paired with the Font of Might, it'll absolutely shred through yellow bars and champions, and can also trigger the Stasis Crystal on precision final blows. With it also being a rapid fire frame, these machine guns are primed to be part of the meta, so either way I'd definitely try and get one. This Shadebinder setup really gives you some excellent versatility. Bleak Watchers are immense at slowing down targets, especially yellow bars, champions and mini bosses, and now you can have two of them in an instant. Make sure to set this up by utilising your Rift and Stasis weapons as often as possible. Yes, infinite Coldsnap Grenades are awesome, but they literally do 0 damage, so yeah, that looks good, but it's really not going to do anything for you. By following this build, you should have 2 turrets up at all times and the ability to use a Coldsnap in any squeaky bum time moments. If you're running Wellspring or any other activities that have rally banners, make sure to use your grenades to create Bleak Watchers before rallying and then starting the next encounter. This way you can then chuck 2 more instantly and have 4 turrets going at once. If you're lucky, you can even push a 5th turret out before one disappears. These are absolutely going to be my main Stasis build pick for the foreseeable future, as Warlocks have essentially been lacking for a whole year in this area. Now if you're Stasis out of your mind, I'm about to blow your mind by telling you that the Nova Warp Super is now the best single damage super this season. Yeah, you thought it was Tether, but in this video I'll show you why it isn't, all the damage numbers and how 60% of the time it works every time.